Professor, this is Carol Brown. My topic is determining length, width, including perimeter and areas, using customary and metric systems. Good morning, class. Today we're going to measure 2 and 3 dimensional figures using polygons. We're going to use grid paper, and we're going to measure areas and perimeters. And we're also going to create formulas to express this mathematical rule. Before we get started, I'd like to do a little bit of a warm-up. Sam, if you could help me, I'd like for you to give me the results of 5 plus 6 plus 8. That is correct, Sam. That's good. 19. All right, Sally, could you sum up 9 plus 4 plus 2 plus 7? Very good, 22. David, could you please give me the product of 8 times 3? Very good, that's 24. And Mary, 12 times 5? Very good, that is 60. Okay, so if I were to write 7 plus a question mark is equal to 18, what could you give me, James? $11, that's correct. So this is the missing digit. What about Susan? Could you help me with A times 9 is equal to 27? That's correct. The missing number here is a 3. These are called formulas. Now we could also do something like 3 times 2 plus 4, adding multiplication and addition together. What would that give us, Stephen? That's correct. That gives us 10. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 4 equals 10. These are called formulas. So we're going to be covering area, which is the number of square units needed to cover a surface. And we're going to cover formulas that help us come up with the amount of the area and the perimeter, which is the distance around a figure here. All right, so on our first square, we can either count the squares to get, that's correct, 9, or we could say 3 is the length times 3 is the width, and you get 9. That's if you have an equal amount of sides. Now, if I were to change to this triangular shape, could we create a formula for this? Yes, we could. This formula would be 4 in length and 5 in width. So that would be 4 times 5 equals 20. Now, if you don't trust your multiplication, what can you do? You can go back and count the squares to make sure that you have 20. Very good. All right, now an area, we could put tiles on a floor, and that would be area, and we could paint the walls, and that would be an area. But a perimeter would be the exterior area or premises. Now, Stephen, why do we consider the paint on the wall as an area and not as a perimeter? That's correct, because it's included as part of the area. Very good. Okay, the inside space is measured here by the square unit. Okay. Tammy, could you tell me the different units that we can use to measure length and width? We could use inches. We could use feet. Centimeters, that's right. Millimeters. Yards. Very good, very good. That is correct. I created this large grid paper so that everybody could see, because we're going to be working with grid paper in a smaller version on your desk. But, let's see. What about this shape here? Could we create a formula for this shape? Yes, we can. And I'll show you. Very good, Stephen. Very good. That's right. We could either do 2 times 4, and we've got these 2 left over. We can add those. So we've got a total of what? 10 squares. Is that correct? Okay, so we can count. Let's make sure we check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we do have, and that is the area. Now the perimeter would be all these squares. They go completely around and on the inside of the shape. And we would have to number those. Now, I have a Farmer Brown. See my Farmer Brown? And he wants to plant a garden. Let's get rid of this one. Farmer Brown wants to plant a garden, and he needs to measure the length and the width of his garden by square feet. Here's the length and here's the width. Okay, first he needs to record the length and the width of the garden for the area. So can we create a formula for this? Yes, we can. We've got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 in length, 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the width. Okay, and that is 24. That's good. All right. So now we're going to talk about perimeter. We've already talked about the interior part of this garden. That's the area. But let's say he needs to put a fence around the perimeter. We're going to put numbers on our squares so that we won't lose count. And this is what I want you to do when we do our practice. We want to use numbers inside our grid paper. Okay, here's this. Here's our numbers. At the beginning, now it seems real simple when we're starting out with such an easy shape, but when the shapes start changing, those numbers are going to come in handy on your grid paper. Okay, there we go. Now, so how many square feet are in the perimeter of his garden? Very good. Stephen, you're on top of it today. That is correct. He's got 24 square feet. Now it's going to be real important that you always state what your measurement is, because we're going to be changing that in a little bit. Sally has passed out a practice sheet here of what we have covered. I want you to create a formula, and I want you to count your squares for the area, and so label area and the amount of squares that you've got for your area. And then I want you to count the perimeters, but mark them. I want you to place numbers on it like I did, and record the perimeter, and then create a formula. Create all the formulas that you can think of for practice.